Rates are falling, ships are still sailing, planes are still flying. So why are logistics companies losing money? Behind the scenes, a silent crisis is unfolding, one that most people never see. Fuel prices are surging again. And this time, it's not just increasing costs, it's crushing margins across the entire global supply chain, from ocean carriers to trucking companies to the last mile delivery driver bringing packages to your door. Everyone is feeling the pressure. But here's the real question. If fuel keeps rising, who survives and who disappears? The trigger. Why fuel prices are rising again. This isn't just another price fluctuation, it's a perfect storm. Geopolitical tensions are tightening global oil supply. Key shipping routes are becoming riskier, and major oil producers are deliberately cutting output to keep prices high. At the same time, demand is roaring back, especially in Asia. Factories are running, consumption is rising, and energy is once again in high demand. But there's a deeper issue most people miss. The world doesn't have enough refining capacity. After years of underinvestment in stricter environmental regulations, the system is stretched thin. That means even small disruptions can trigger massive price spikes, and logistics sits right at the center of this storm. The reality, fuel is the backbone of logistics. Every movement in global trade runs on fuel. A container ship crossing from Asia to Europe burns massive amounts of bunker fuel every single day. In fact, fuel can account for up to 60% of a vessel's operating cost. Now imagine that cost suddenly jumping. Margins? Gone. Air freight is even more fragile. Jet fuel prices fluctuate rapidly, and airlines operate on razor-thin margins. A small increase in fuel cost can wipe out profitability overnight. Then comes trucking, the backbone of domestic logistics. Diesel prices spike, and suddenly thousands of small carriers are in trouble. Because unlike large corporations, they don't have financial buffers, they don't have hedging strategies, they just have rising costs and shrinking cash flow. The trap, why companies can't pass the cost on. You might think, if fuel is more expensive, just charge customers more. But logistics doesn't work like that. Most contracts are locked in advance. Rates are negotiated months ahead. So when fuel prices surge, costs increase immediately, but revenue stays the same. This is what insiders call the lag effect, and it's deadly. There are fuel surcharges, like BAF in ocean freight. But here's the truth. They rarely cover the full increase. Customers push back, competition is fierce, and in a weak freight market, carriers are forced to absorb the cost just to stay in the game. So they keep operating, but every shipment becomes less profitable. The squeeze, when everything goes wrong at once. Now combine everything, falling freight rates, oversupply of capacity, and rising fuel costs. This is the worst-case scenario for logistics, and it's happening right now. Ocean carriers are stuck in a brutal cycle. Too many ships, not enough demand, and skyrocketing bunker fuel prices. Freight forwarders are trapped between fixed customer rates and unpredictable carrier costs. And trucking companies? They feel it instantly. Fuel goes up today, they lose money today. No delay, no protection, just pure margin compression. The hidden impact, what most people don't see. This isn't just about company profits. It's reshaping the entire global supply chain. First, transit times are increasing. To save fuel, shipping lines are slowing down vessels. This is called slow steaming. It reduces fuel consumption, but adds days or even weeks to delivery times. Second, companies are changing transport modes. Air freight becomes too expensive, so cargo shifts to ocean, trucking costs rise, so companies explore rail. But these shifts create new bottlenecks, new delays, new inefficiencies. And then comes the biggest change of all. Companies are rethinking their entire supply chain strategy. More inventory, more regional sourcing, more resilience. Because in a world of volatile fuel prices, speed is no longer the priority. Stability is. The fallout, who wins and who loses. Not everyone loses in this crisis. Some companies are built to survive it. Large carriers with strong balance sheets can absorb short-term losses. Companies with advanced fuel hedging strategies can lock in lower prices. Rail and intermodal providers become more attractive alternatives. But the losers, they're everywhere. Small trucking companies, low-margin freight forwarders, e-commerce businesses relying on cheap shipping. For them, this isn't just a challenge, it's an existential threat. And history shows what happens next. Consolidation. Weaker players disappear, stronger players take control, and the industry becomes more concentrated. The fight back, how companies are adapting. But logistics is nothing if not resilient. Companies are already fighting back. Fuel hedging is becoming more common, locking in prices before they rise. Dynamic pricing models are emerging, adjusting rates in real time. AI and advanced analytics are being used to optimize routes and reduce fuel consumption. And entire logistics networks are being redesigned to minimize distance, cost, and risk. Because in this environment, efficiency is no longer optional, it's survival. The future, what happens next? So where does this go from here? In the short term, volatility remains. Fuel prices will continue to swing with geopolitics. Margins will stay under pressure. In the medium term, we'll likely see more consolidation, stronger players dominating the market, and more aggressive pricing strategies. But long term, this crisis could accelerate a massive transformation. Alternative fuels, electrification, more localized supply chains. Because one thing is now clear, fuel is no longer just a cost, it's a strategic risk. The brutal truth. Global trade isn't slowing down. Demand is still there. Ships are still moving. Goods are still flowing. But underneath it all, the economics are changing. In today's logistics world, it's not demand that destroys your business. It's fuel. Have rising fuel costs affected your business or your daily life? Drop your experience in the comments. We analyze real-world cases.